I told them I couldn't invest in their house flip. I had just put a deposit down on the RV I'd been saving for my retirement, for me. But my son said I was being selfish, that I'd never supported his dreams. Selfish. After 35 years of putting him first, after every dollar I'd scraped together to give him the life I never had. No, and suddenly, I was the villain in his story. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the garage, sanding down an old rocking chair I'd found at an estate sale, planning to refinish it for Olivia. Phoenix heat was brutal even in the shade, but I had the fan going and a cold beer sweating on the workbench. My phone buzzed. Ryan's name lit up the screen. "Hey, Dad," he said, and I could hear that edge in his voice. The one he got when he wanted something big. "Got a minute? I need to run something by you." I set down the sandpaper and wiped my hands on my jeans. "Sure, son. What's going on?" Madison and I found this incredible opportunity. There's a foreclosure in Scottsdale. Total fixer-upper. But the location is prime. We can flip it in 6 months. Easy $150,000 profit. Maybe more. I'd heard this song before. 3 years ago, it was the rental property in Tempe that needed just a little work. 2 years before that, Madison's online boutique that was going to be the next big thing. Both times, my money vanished into the Arizona dust. "Sounds promising," I said carefully. "What's the catch?" "We need $95,000 for the down payment and initial renovations. The bank will cover the rest, but we're 20 short. I know it's a lot, Dad, but this is a sure thing. We've got a contractor lined up. Madison's got the whole design planned out for her Instagram, and we've already got a buyer interested. 20 short, which meant they needed me to put up $95,000. I took a breath. The RV I'd just put the deposit on cost $42,000. I'd been saving for it for 8 years, ever since I sold the contracting business. I'd always wanted to see the country, to drive up the Pacific Coast Highway, to visit Yellowstone, to show up at my brother's place in Montana unannounced. Linda had wanted that too, before the cancer took her. I'd promised myself I'd finally do it in her memory. "Ryan, I just put a deposit down on an RV. I've been planning this trip for years. I don't have that kind of liquid cash right now." Silence on the other end. Then, sharp as a nail gun, "You bought an RV? I've been saving for it since." "Dad, we're talking about generational wealth here. A smart investment that could set up Olivia and Carter's college funds. And you're buying a recreational vehicle? Son, I've worked for 43 years. I think I'm entitled to." "Entitled? That's rich." His laugh was cold. "Madison was right. You've changed since Mom died. You used to care about family." The words hit like a punch to the solar plexus. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. "Never mind, Dad. We'll figure it out ourselves. Like we always do." He hung up. I stood there in my garage, still holding the phone, the rocking chair half finished on the workbench. The same workbench where I'd built Ryan's Pinewood Derby car when he was 8, where I'd helped him construct his science fair volcano at midnight when he'd procrastinated until the last minute, where I'd refinished the dining table that now sat in his house, the one Madison posted on Instagram with the caption, "Vintage Find." I'd bought that table new in 1987. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation. "You've changed. You used to care about family." I'd cared about family when I'd co-signed his first mortgage, putting my credit on the line. I'd cared when I'd covered Madison's business startup costs 3 separate times. I'd cared when I'd paid for Olivia's private kindergarten because the public school just wasn't good enough. I'd cared when I'd been their on-call handyman, their free contractor, their emergency ATM for the past decade. But sure, I'd changed. At 6 a.m., I gave up on sleep and made coffee. The house felt too quiet. Linda used to fill the silence with NPR and humming, with the sound of her slippers shuffling across the tile. Now there was just the hum of the refrigerator and my own thoughts. My phone buzzed. A text message. But not from Ryan. It was a group text. To my entire family. My daughter Sarah in Seattle. My brother Mike in Montana. My sister Claire in Texas. Linda's sister Margaret. Even my cousins I barely talked to. The message was from Madison. Hi everyone. I wanted to reach out because Ryan and I are going through a really difficult time with Tom. We came to him with a legitimate investment opportunity that could benefit the whole family, and he refused to help us. Instead, he just bought himself a luxury RV. We've always been there for him, especially after Linda passed. But apparently that doesn't matter anymore. Ryan is heartbroken. We're trying to teach Olivia and Carter about family loyalty, but it's hard when their own grandfather is modeling such selfish behavior. We'd appreciate your prayers during this difficult time. I read it 3 times. Luxury RV. I'd bought a used 2019 model, the most basic one on the lot. Always been there for him. Ryan had visited me exactly 4 times in the 2 years since Linda died. Madison, twice. Both times to ask for money. I set the phone down like it might explode. My hands were shaking. Within an hour, the responses started coming in. My sister Claire. Oh, Tom, this doesn't sound like you. Is everything okay? My daughter Sarah. Dad, can we talk? My brother Mike. What the hell is going on? I didn't respond to any of them. What could I say? That I'd given Ryan and Madison over $100,000 in the past 10 years? That I had the bank statements to prove it? That this wasn't about an RV? It was about finally drawing a line. The next morning, my neighbor Frank came over. He'd been a firefighter for 30 years before retiring, and he'd been checking on me regularly since Linda passed. Good man. No agenda. Saw your lights on at 3 a.m., he said, settling into one of the patio chairs with the coffee I'd offered. Everything all right? I told him everything. The phone call, the group text, Madison's message painting me as some kind of miserly Scrooge. Frank listened without interrupting, nodding occasionally, his weathered face impassive. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. How much have you given them? He finally asked. I don't know. A lot. Tom. He leaned forward. Do you have records? I thought about the filing cabinet in my office. I'd been a contractor for 4 decades. I kept records of everything. Receipts, invoices, bank statements. It was habit. Yeah, I said. I probably do. Then I think you need to look at them. Not to weaponize them. Just to remind yourself of the truth. Because what Madison sent to your family, that's not the truth. After Frank left, I went to my office. The filing cabinet was an old metal 4-drawer I'd had since the 80s. I pulled out the bottom drawer, the one labeled Family. Inside were folders, Ryan's college fund contributions, the check I'd written for his wedding, the loan I'd given him for his first car, the receipt for the down payment on his house. I pulled them all out and spread them across my desk. 2013, $8,000 for Ryan's certification courses to get his real estate license. 2014, $12,000 down payment assistance for their first house. 2015, $4,500 for Madison's online boutique startup. She'd ordered inventory that never sold. I'd helped them storage unit fees for 2 years before they finally donated it all. 2016, $6,200 for a new HVAC system when theirs died, and they didn't have the cash flow. 2017, $15,000 for Olivia's private kindergarten, first year. 2018, $11,000 for the rental property in Tempe that ended up needing $20,000 more in repairs than estimated. They sold it at a loss. I never saw a dime back. 2019, $8,500 for Madison's business coaching program, another venture that produced nothing but promotional Instagram posts. 2020, $7,200 in COVID relief when Ryan's real estate commissions dried up. 2021, $14,000 for private school tuition when they decided public school wasn't good enough. 2022, $9,800 for their kitchen remodel because they needed it for Madison's content creation. 2023, $6,500 for Carter's medical bills when he broke his arm and their insurance had that high deductible. 2024, $3,000 $400 so far this year for various emergencies. I pulled out my calculator. The numbers climbed higher than I'd realized. $106,100. And that didn't count the countless hours of free labor, the furniture I'd built, the repairs I'd done, the babysitting, the grocery runs when they were too busy. I sat back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Linda's voice echoed in my memory. We'd had this conversation the year before she died, after I'd written yet another check to Ryan. "Tom," she'd said gently, "I know you want to help him, but are we helping him, or are we enabling him?" I'd brushed it off. "He's our son. That's what parents do." But Linda had seen it more clearly than I had. She'd seen the pattern. Ask, receive, repeat. Never a thank you that lasted longer than a week. Never a question about how we were doing. Never an offer to pay it back. Just an endless expectation that the money would keep flowing. And now that I'd said no once, I was selfish. I gathered all the documents and put them in a clear plastic bin. Then I did something I hadn't done in 20 years. I called a lawyer. His name was David Brennan, and he'd been the attorney who'd handled Linda's estate. Sharp guy, early 60s, no nonsense. "Tom," he said when his assistant put me through, "how are you holding up?" "I've been better, David. I need some advice. Legal and financial." We scheduled an appointment for Thursday morning. In the meantime, my phone kept buzzing. Sarah called me 4 times. I let them all go to voicemail. Claire sent a long text about how we're all family and we need to communicate. Mike sent a short one. "Call me when you can." I responded to Mike. "I'm fine. Family drama, I'll explain later." I didn't respond to the others. Wednesday evening, Madison posted on Facebook. I didn't have social media, but Sarah sent me a screenshot. The post featured a photo of Ryan and Madison with the kids, all of them looking somber. The caption read, "When you realize that even the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally will put their own comfort over your family's future. We're heartbroken, but we're also stronger than ever, teaching Olivia and Carter that we don't need anyone who doesn't truly value us. Family isn't always blood. Number boundaries. Number toxic people. Number choosing yourself." I stared at the screenshot. Toxic people. She was talking about me. The same me who'd spent every Sunday for the past 9 years at their house, fixing toilets, patching drywall, installing ceiling fans, building bookshelves. The same me who'd shown up at midnight when their water heater burst. The same me who'd taken Olivia to father-daughter dances when Ryan was too busy with work. Toxic. I set my phone down and walked out to the backyard. The desert sunset was painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Linda had loved these sunsets. We used to sit out here with glasses of wine, watching the light fade, not needing to fill the silence with words. "I don't know what to do, Linda," I said to the empty chair beside me. "I feel like I'm losing him, but I also feel like I already lost him a long time ago, and I just didn't want to admit it." The sky darkened. The first stars appeared. Thursday morning, I drove to David Brennan's office in a high-rise downtown. The air conditioning was aggressive, and the furniture was expensive leather. David greeted me with a firm handshake and genuine concern in his eyes. "Tell me what's going on," he said. I told him everything. The phone call, the group text, Madison's Facebook post. I showed him the plastic bin of documents. He went through them methodically, making notes on a legal pad. When he finished, he looked up at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Tom, I'm going to be direct with you. This is over $100,000 you've given them. Did you have any written agreements? Any loan documents? No. It was always just helping my son. And has any of it been repaid? No." He leaned back in his chair. "Legally, these were likely gifts, not loans, which means you have no legal recourse to get the money back. But that's not really what you want, is it?" "No," I said. "I just want to stop feeling like an ATM machine. I want to protect what's left of my retirement. And honestly, David, I want to make sure that if something happens to me, Ryan and Madison don't just liquidate everything I've worked for and blow it on their next investment opportunity." David nodded slowly. "We can do that. Let's talk about your will and your power of attorney documents." We spent 2 hours going over everything. My will currently left everything to Ryan and Sarah. Split 50-50. Sarah lived in Seattle, worked as a nurse, visited me 3 times a year, called every Sunday just to check in. She'd never asked me for money. Not once. The disparity suddenly seemed obscene. I want to change it, I said. Sarah gets 70%. Ryan gets 30%. And I want to set up an educational trust for Olivia and Carter that Ryan and Madison can't touch. They can only access it for verified educational expenses, and it doesn't activate until the kids are 18. David made notes. And your power of attorney? Currently it's Ryan. Change it to Sarah. Done. I'll have the documents drafted by next week. When I left David's office, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Control. Not over Ryan or Madison, but over my own life, my own future. That evening, Ryan called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Dad. His voice was tight. We need to talk. I'm listening. Madison's really upset. That Facebook post, she was just venting. She didn't mean for it to blow up like this. She posted it publicly. Ryan. She tagged half the family. What did she think would happen? Okay, fine. But Dad, you have to understand how this looks from our perspective. We come to you with a legitimate investment. Ryan, stop. I kept my voice level. I've been going through my records. Do you know how much money I've given you in the past 10 years? Silence. $106,100. That's not counting my time, my labor, or the furniture I've built for your house. That's just cash and checks. More silence. I have never, I continued, not once, asked you to pay any of it back. I gave it freely, because you're my son, and I love you. But when I finally say no to one request because I have plans of my own, I'm selfish? I'm toxic? Dad, I never called you. Madison did. On a public Facebook post, that you clearly knew about because you're in the photo. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. Here's the thing, son. I'm 68 years old. I worked for 43 years building a business so I could retire comfortably. Your mother and I sacrificed a lot to give you opportunities we never had. And I don't regret that. But I'm done sacrificing. I'm done being your emergency fund. I'm done being the person you call only when you need something. That's not fair. When's the last time you called me just to ask how I was doing? Not because you needed me to fix something or fund something, just to talk. The silence stretched out so long I thought he'd hung up. I don't know, he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. That's what I thought. I took a breath. I love you, Ryan. I love Madison and those kids more than anything. But I'm not an ATM, and I'm not going to apologize for finally taking care of myself. So that's it? You're just cutting us off? I'm setting boundaries. If you can't see the difference, that's something you need to work out on your own. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for 10 years and finally exhaled. 2 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. When I opened it, I saw it was from Olivia. She must have used a friend's phone. Grandpa, I don't understand what's happening. Mom and Dad won't let me call you. They say you're being mean, but you've never been mean to me. I miss our Saturdays. I miss your pancakes. I miss you. Please don't forget about me. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I saved the number and replied, Sweet girl, I could never forget about you. I love you more than all the stars in the Arizona sky. What's happening between your parents and me is grown-up stuff that has nothing to do with you. I will always be here for you. Always. Tell Carter I love him too. Grandpa, 3 dots appeared. Then, okay. I love you too. That message sat in my chest like a warm coal. The following week, David called to tell me the new documents were ready. I drove to his office and signed everything. The new will, the new power of attorney, an educational trust for Olivia and Carter funded with $50,000, untouchable except for tuition, books, and verified educational expenses. One more thing, David said as I was getting ready to leave. Have you considered what happens if Ryan and Madison try to contest this? Can they? They can try. Probably won't succeed, especially since you're clearly of sound mind and you've documented your reasoning. But it could get ugly. Let it, I said. I'm done avoiding ugly. I also went to my bank. I'd been automatically transferring $500 a month to Ryan's account for the past 3 years, ever since Madison had convinced him to quit his stable job to pursue real estate full-time. I'd told myself it was temporary, just until he built up his client base. 3 years later, he was doing fine. The transfers weren't necessary. They were just expected. I canceled them. All of them. The banker, a woman named Patricia who'd handled my accounts for 15 years, looked at me with something like approval. Sometimes the hardest thing we do is stop helping people who won't help themselves, she said softly. Yeah, I agreed. Sometimes it is. That weekend, I drove up to Sedona. Just me, a backpack, and a cheap hotel room. I hiked Cathedral Rock on Saturday morning, my knees protesting but my lungs loving the clean air. I ate dinner at a quiet Mexican restaurant and watched the sunset paint the red rocks in impossible colors. I didn't check my phone except to text Sarah and let her know where I was. Sunday morning, I was having coffee on the hotel balcony when Ryan called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Dad, what the hell? The bank called Madison yesterday. They said the monthly transfer bounced. Is your account okay? Not are you okay? Not is everything all right. Just concern about the money. My account is fine, I said calmly. I canceled the transfers. You what? I canceled all automatic transfers to your account. I've been sending you $500 a month for 3 years, Ryan. That's $18,000. It was supposed to be temporary. You're doing fine now. You don't need it. Dad, that's not we budget based on that money. We have expenses, then adjust your budget. I'm not a line item in your monthly expenses anymore. This is insane. You're really going to pull the rug out from under us like this? I laughed. Not a happy laugh, a bewildered one. Ryan, do you hear yourself? You're 35 years old. You have a good job. Madison has her influencer income. You own a house. And you're telling me that my retirement money should fund your lifestyle? It's not about lifestyle. It's about stability. Then create your own stability. Like I did. Like everyone else has to do. Fine. His voice had gone cold. If that's how you want it, fine. But don't expect us to come around anymore. Don't expect to see your grandkids. We're done. The threat hung in the air. If that's your choice, I said quietly, I'll live with it. But I want you to know something, son. I will always love you. I will always be here if you genuinely need me. But I won't be manipulated. And I won't let you use my grandchildren as leverage. That says more about you than it does about me. I hung up. For a moment, I just sat there on that hotel balcony, looking out at the red rocks. Then, I felt it. Not grief, not anger, peace. I'd drawn the line. Finally, over the next few weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. Sarah called me, and I told her everything. She was furious at Ryan, supportive of me, and completely unsurprised. Dad, I've watched him do this for years, she said. Every time Mom tried to talk to you about it, you defended him. I'm glad you finally see it. Frank and I started having breakfast every Wednesday at the diner down the street. He'd been through his own family drama years ago when his son had gotten into drugs. He understood. The hardest part, he told me over eggs and hash browns, is accepting that you can't save people who don't want to be saved. You can love them from a distance, but you can't live their life for them. I picked up the RV in August. A beautiful used Thor motor coach, cream-colored with blue accents, 24 feet of freedom on wheels. I named it Linda, and I drove it to Montana to see my brother Mike. We spent a week fishing, hiking, and not talking about Ryan unless I brought it up, which I didn't. Much. In September, I got a message from Madison on Facebook. Sarah had warned me that I'd been blocked from seeing their posts, but apparently I could still receive messages. Tom, I hope you know what you're doing. Ryan is devastated. Olivia cries about you every night. Carter asks when Grandpa is coming back. Is your pride really worth losing your family? I read it twice. Then I wrote back, Madison, I love those kids with everything I have. But you and Ryan made the choice to cut contact. Not me. I set a boundary after giving you over $100,000 in 10 years. If you can't accept that I have the right to retire and live my own life, that's a choice you're making. My door is always open, but I won't be walking through yours anymore unless I'm genuinely wanted, not just needed. I never got a response. October brought cooler weather and the realization that I was okay. More than okay. I joined a woodworking club that met twice a month. I was volunteering with Habitat for Humanity one Saturday a month, using my contractor skills to help build homes for people who actually needed them. I'd started dating a woman named Carol. I met at a library book club, nothing serious, just coffee and conversation. Life was full, different but full. Then, in early November, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered, expecting a spam call. Grandpa? Olivia? My heart jumped into my throat. Yeah, it's me. I'm using my friend Hannah's phone. Mom and Dad don't know I'm calling. Sweetheart, are you okay? I miss you. Her voice cracked. I don't understand why we can't see you anymore. Mom says you chose money over us. But that doesn't make sense. You always said family was more important than money. I closed my eyes, took a breath. Olivia, your mom and I have a different understanding of what happened. But I want you to know something, and I need you to really hear me, okay? Okay. I love you and Carter more than anything in this world. What's happening between your parents and me has nothing to do with you. You did nothing wrong, and my door is always, always open to you. When you're older, when you can make your own choices about who you want to see, I'll be right here. I promise. I heard sniffling. You're not mad at me? Oh, baby girl, no. Never. Not ever. Can I still call you sometimes? From Hannah's phone? Anytime you want. Okay. I have to go. Hannah's mom is picking us up. Love you, Grandpa. I love you too, Olivia. More than all the stars. After she hung up, I sat there in my living room, the phone still pressed to my ear. Then I let myself cry. Not from sadness, from the strange, complicated mix of loss and relief and love that comes from knowing you did the right thing, even when it hurt. That evening, I sat down with my laptop and started writing. Not for anyone else, just for me, just to process. I wrote about Linda, about Ryan, about the choices I'd made and the ones I'd finally stopped making. I wrote about learning to say no, about boundaries, about loving someone from a distance. I wrote about a man who'd spent his whole life building things for other people and had finally decided to build something for himself. And when I finished, when the words were all out on the page, I closed the laptop and walked out to the backyard. The RV was parked in the driveway, gleaming under the porch light. Tomorrow, I was heading to California, the Pacific Coast Highway, one of Linda's dreams that I was finally going to make real. I raised my beer bottle to the empty chair beside me. This one's for you, hun, I said to the desert night. We're finally taking that trip. Somewhere in the house, my phone buzzed. Another message, probably. Another drama. Another demand. I left it there. For once, I had somewhere better to be.